a Rapido, the latest and smallest Rapido. This is narrower than the new Auto Trail XL because we're now on the third generation of the Russo family. The automatic unlocking system, you just press these buttons, there's this flip up jump seat, but I would worry about damaging the blind on that window behind me. But the clever bit, as we've seen of course so many times before with swing wall arrangements, is how this turns into a shower. In fact, the total for this vehicle is Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today, hidden away in the woods, well, I could only be at Britain's most secluded motorhome dealer, Wokingham Motorhomes. Also, the original UK dealer for Rapido. And of course, what have I got but a Rapido, the latest and smallest Rapido in the range, the C03. Now this is the latest addition to the compact C-Series range, which debuted in 2021. There are now 6 models in the lineup, but this little baby, at 6.19 metres long, is the smallest. But it's not just about the overall length. This van is very much about being narrow. Now, Rapido has history in slimline coach-built motorhomes way back with the 710 model in the early 2000s, one of the first Rapidos that we saw in the UK. And this latest C03, like all the C-Series models, is 2.17 metres wide. You can see just how slim it is when you look at how little extra width there is behind the cab, unlike a lot of coach-builts where the body sticks out quite substantially behind the Fiat element. Now, it's not as narrow as some. There are some models down to about 2.1 metres wide, but equally this is narrower than the new Auto Trail XL, the Knaus Van TI, Deathlef's Globe Bus, Go, and so on. It's 2.17 metres, so it fits in the middle of the slimline range between, which generally go from 2.1 to 2.2 metres or so. So a nice compact vehicle on the road, and usually these C-Series low profiles are based on a Peugeot Boxer. Not that you can tell because it says Rapido on the front. Now, this one is, however, on a Fiat, and there's a very good reason for that, because up until now you've not been able to get a Peugeot Boxer with an automatic gearbox. So if you want your C-Series with the automatic box, you have to switch to a Fiat. Now there's a £1,740 premium to pay just to switch to the Fiat cab, and then another £3,000 to pay for the automatic box. So that makes the automatic a pricey option, but if you stick with the manual gearbox, 140 horsepower Peugeot engine, of course Peugeot cab, then the price starts at what I think is quite reasonable in 2024, a figure of £71,900. And it's worth noting that Rapido always up-spec their vehicles for the UK. So right-hand drive models come with the 6 kilowatt heating instead of 4 kilowatt, and it's diesel and electric. They get a heated waste tank, an oven and grill, carpets, external shower, and then on the cab you get traction plus, hill descent control, front fog and cornering lights, rear steadies, a leather steering wheel, and the steering wheel has the radio controls as well. In fact, the only option that you really need to add to this van is the Select Pack, and that gives you more kit, of course. Habitation door with 2-point locking and the window, a second leisure battery, on the cab ESC with ASR, rollover mitigation, crosswind assist, towing stability control, and auto post-collision braking. The electric mirrors, height adjustable cab seats with 2 armrests, and a 6.8-inch Pioneer touchscreen display with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a reversing camera. And it also gives you the cab blinds. So that's a bit of a no-brainer. £1,700 takes the van up to 73,600. Now, another advantage of switching from the Peugeot to the Fiat cab is that there are a lot more options available. And this particular C03 does have a lot of options fitted to it. One of those is the all black pack, £1,760, and that gives you the full LED headlights with sequential indicators, the 16-inch alloy wheels and the black skid plate on the front. There are also quite a lot of features in the cab as options on this particular vehicle, and I'll come to those a bit later on. But as I've said, you don't need to go mad on the options. Even as standard, this little Rapido still feels and looks very much like a Rapido premium quality motorhome. So you've got things like these nice framed habitation windows, the aluminium side skirts, and the usual Rapido styling with the grey graphics, and of course the red Rapido family logo, because we're now on the third generation of the Russo family at the Rapido factory. Looking down the near side here, you've got your fresh water filler. Now the fresh tank is of course inboard, perfect for winterisation. It's actually under the rear travel seat and it's 110 litres, good size. Wastewater tank we'll see in a second, that's 90 litres. You've got your mains hook up there and your usual toilet servicing hatch. But the interesting thing, especially on such a small van, is the garage. So this may be a small van, but there's nothing too petite about the garage. You have in fact 1.2 metres of headroom in here. You've also got these fixed flashing points to secure your bikes or whatever, and then your habitation electrics, your fuses, RCD unit, and oddly a continental style 230 volt socket there. Decent lighting because it's up high in the centre, your two leisure batteries, your external shower fitting, and in the corner here your gas locker. Now that takes one 13 kilo cylinder. You don't need more because of course your heating is primarily diesel. And then just one little feature that I rather liked was this elasticated strap on the back wall. Could be useful for securing your outdoor chairs, for example. The garage is restricted to 150 kilos maximum load because the chassis rails don't extend underneath it. But overall payload on this vehicle is good, 640 kilos in standard spec, and I've calculated that as this one's specified, well, it's still about 560 kilos. Plenty for two people in a small van. The waste tank that I mentioned earlier is heated and insulated and underslung, but it has a nice large bore outlet here and a decent capacity of 90 litres. Round at the back, well, it's quite neatly styled, and Wokingham have added a bike rack for the customer. That's a £595 dealer accessory. The reversing camera we mentioned earlier, and there will be an awning which is part way through fitting on this vehicle, and that's £1,495 for a 3.5 metre roll-out awning. There's not much else to tell you about the offside. Of course, habitation door is on the offside, this being a Continental van. And the electric step here does auto retract. You will need to use that step because you'll notice the actual door is quite high. It sits above the skirts. One nice feature is that the door is linked to the central locking, and unlocking it activates your awning light. But actually you don't need to use the fob if you don't want to, because this vehicle has the automatic unlocking system. You just press these buttons on the cab doors. As long as you've got the key in the pocket, it'll unlock for you. So now it's time to slip off my boots and show you the inside. Now, the danger with small motorhomes is that they can feel very small inside, but that's just not the case here. In fact, it feels really rather spacious. Remember, this is a van that's shorter than an extra long Peugeot or Fiat panel van, and just a tad wider. Now, a lot of that is down to the daylight that floods into this vehicle. You've got a deep window in the door, you've got a hecky roof light, a wind-up one, not the cheaper push-up one, over the lounge, and this really gigantic overcab sunroof. That must be one of the biggest I've seen, and it's glass, not plastic. And then the artificial lighting is superb too. They haven't even forgotten reading lights in the cab, as so many manufacturers do, and they are just touch on, touch off ones. You've got another reading light over the table, as well as a rear speaker. You've got these downlighters above the lounge, at either side of the hecky. You've got strip lights under the top lockers. Yeah, and the lighting is just brilliant, no pun intended. And then another neat feature is the table. Folded like this, it's an excellent size for a laptop or a couple of drinks and snacks. In fact, I think for a couple you might often just use it like that, even for dining. But if you need something a bit more gastronomic, or you've got friends coming in, well, it does unfold to a really good size. You can get 4 people around that, I think, without too much bother. Of course, the cab seats have twin armrests and they swivel right round, but then there's this flip-up jump seat, which maybe you wouldn't often use it as a seat, but it's certainly very appealing as a footrest, especially as the TV goes on the wall just above the rear travel seat there. And another thing I should add is that in this particular van we have the Luceo furniture, the lighter woodwork option. There is an alternative Nacarat finish which has much darker wood but white top lockers if you prefer. And this upholstery is an optional extra. This is the Montreal trim. It's a faux leather. There's a real leather and various other colour schemes as well that you can choose from. But this is quite a pleasant, restful design with the contrasting cushions and drapes at the window. And before I move on, you may just have spotted a little bright green accessory down here in the cup holder. It's called Easy Pitch, E-A-Z-Y pitch, and it just gives you a good idea of whether your van's level. It's a spirit level that slots into your cup holder. Great little feature, I think. Nothing to do with Rapido, nothing to do with this test van, but just something I happen to have on review. Even this half dinette seating is a lot more comfortable than many. It avoids that sort of bolt upright bench feeling you get in some vans. This backrest is actually quite ergonomically shaped. And if you've got taller rear passengers, adults, then you can adjust the height of the headrests as well. 3-point belts here, of course, but they're hidden at the moment behind this cushion. When you are carrying 2 rear passengers, this little L-shaped section, which is a nice place to put your feet up if you're sitting in that swiveled seat, well, that cushion just folds flat against the wall. Very neat mechanism, similar to the jump seat, and that gives you the ability to carry 2 rear passengers without any issues for legroom. Table, well, that twists and slides as well as folding in half, so that's great. In fact, this is a really nice cosy little lounge. Yeah, you wouldn't want loads of people in here, but for 2 it's absolutely great. One thing though seems a bit strange. Always in these Fiat based models you get a step from the cab down into the living area. Well, that's pretty normal, but here there's a 3rd floor height under the table. I can't understand why they didn't just carry the Fiat cab floor height into the dinette. Why make an extra step, an extra height level? Seems a bit odd to me. Now, this is a true classic amongst compact motorhome layouts, because the transverse double bed at the back over a garage gives you that garage space, but the bedroom area doesn't take up so much length of the van. There are single bed layouts and island bed layouts in the Rapido C Series lineup. In fact, we have tested the C86i, but of course, if you want a truly compact van, well, the transverse bed is probably the answer. And here, for once, you haven't got a ladder to get into what is quite a high bed, but instead a couple of proper steps. And that makes things much more convenient getting in and out of your bed. The bed itself, you've got a Bulltex mattress and it's a good size. 1.95 metres long by 1.43 metres wide at the head, going down to 1.25 metres at the foot. So in old money, that's 6'5" long, 4'8" wide, narrowing to 4'1", although actually you don't really notice that it's narrower at the foot. You've got windows at either end and a roof light, so again it's a nice light area. You've got these mood lighting at the back, another rear speaker. You've got reading lights at the head of the bed here where the bed is wider, and you've got enough height to prop yourself up to read. But I would worry about damaging the blind on that window behind me with pillows and cushions against it. And also this little shelf, you're going to have to be careful not to bang your head on that. But other than that, a great bedroom. Of course, you've always got the downside with this type of layout that one person has to climb over the other to get out. But a good sized bed, very comfy, easier access, and you can sit up. In terms of clothing storage, there's plenty. You've got those 3 top lockers on the back wall over the bed. This large drawer under the foot of the bed, and you can actually tip the whole bed up. Then you can see its slatted base for comfort. You've got a little bit more storage under here as well, and access in that corner to the boiler. Now, one thing, this van is a little longer than some of its rivals. A lot of these sort of van models, as the German manufacturers tend to call them, are 5.99 metres long. This is 20 centimetres longer. And Rapido give 2 reasons for that. They wanted to get in a proper wardrobe, not one squeezed under the bed where hanging length is always a bit compromised, and they also wanted a good sized fridge. So let's look at those 2 features next. Well, clearly French motorhomers care about their couture, because here is a proper wardrobe. You've got over 1 metre of hanging height from the rail, and then 2 decent sized shelves for folded clothes underneath. Proper wardrobe space. And then the fridge, well, this is more than adequate for 2 people. It's a compressor model from Victory Frigo, 140 litres capacity, and a nice bottle drawer to keep you shabbily cool. And before I show you the rest of the kitchen, it's worth noting that this fridge has a nighttime mode and a turbo mode. How very Max Verstappen. In a van of this size, there's always likely to be some sort of compromise, and here I guess it's the kitchen. So you've only got a 2-burner hob, and once you've raised the lid for that and the sink, there's not a lot of worktop. Although Rapido does give you this neat little panel that just slots in with a support bracket. It says maximum 5 kilos on there. Well, it does give you just a little bit of serving up space, I suppose. Other than that, there's a lot to like here. As well as that big fridge, you've got an extractor hood over the hob. Well, perhaps you wouldn't be expecting that in a van like this. These top cupboards are a decent size, and they're on gas struts, and they've got these nice push to open catches. All looks very smart. Like other Rapidos, bigger Rapidos, you get central locking on the kitchen drawers, so just press a button and all the drawers are locked for travel. Unlock them, and then you've got this really super-sized cutlery drawer at the top. A really deep drawer for, well, pots and pans, cereal packets, all sorts in there. And another small drawer under the oven. Yes, I did say oven. And an oven not mounted in some ludicrous position over the fridge, but sensibly positioned, and there's plenty of room to get to it. And it's a grill too, and of course that's standard for the UK. So not a big kitchen, but with quite a lot to recommend it. Your only main socket is this one here. There are all these chrome covered flap covered main sockets, but you've got one there, one in the lounge down at floor level, one back in the bedroom here, and another one in the washroom's cupboard. If the galley seems a little small, well, the washroom is anything but. Look at the amount of space I've got sitting on this swivel cassette loo. There is absolutely no shortage for once of either leg or shoulder room. Anybody of any size should be okay here. And the loo is at a comfortable height, not up on a plinth. And then there's good space to use this basin too. You really can bend over it and get your face for a good splash of cold water in the morning. Big mirror behind, toothbrush mug, storage behind me here, although I'm slightly disappointed that unlike a lot of Rapidos, you don't get any straps to hold things in place in that cupboard. What else can I tell you? Well, you've got a roof vent above with a drying rail, a couple of towel hooks behind, but the clever bit, as we've seen of course so many times before with swing wall arrangements, is how this turns into a shower. Now Rapido calls this a duo space washroom. You simply undo that bolt, swing the wall to one side, and then this bifold door completes the shower cubicle, and it is a really good size. Not many vans of this sort of compact nature will have a shower anything like as good as this, and you've even got a little basket on the wall for your shampoo and conditioner. Only one drain in the shower tray, but other than that, this is a really good use of space. There is also this rather unusual feature with the washroom door. Because it opens around this way, you can use it to close off the back of the van, but I'm not sure why or when you would, because now your whole toilet and shower area is on show. There's not enough space that side of the door to get undressed without actually climbing onto the bed, and well, I suppose it just gives you a bit of privacy for the bedroom, but yeah, with your toilet on show. So the final test, of course, is the test drive. But before we do that, I did mention additional packs that are available and fitted to this van because it's a Fiat. Now, the first one of those is the safety pack at £860, and that gives you lane keeping assistance, road sign recognition and automatic headlights. Then there's the Connect pack at £2,370, and that upgrades this Pioneer touchscreen display from 6.8 inches that you get with the Select pack up to this 9-inch display. It also gives you the 100% digital dashboard, the instrumentation from Fiat. It gives you keyless starting and that keyless unlocking that I showed earlier. The automatic air conditioning, rather than just push button air conditioning, you can just tap in the temperature you want, and the induction phone charger down here. So a lot of spec on this van. In fact, it goes beyond that because you've got the electric parking brake, so none of that reaching down on the right hand side for the manual parking brake that you normally get on a Fiat, and can be quite a stretch for some drivers. That's a £480 option for the electric parking brake. And finally, tyre pressure monitoring, £310. In fact, the total for this vehicle is £86,610. So, driving this Rapido CO3. Well, in many ways, it's just another Fiat Ducato, but it's a smaller Fiat Ducato motorhome and one with all the toys. So, starting is without the key. You press this button where the key would have gone, and then Just engage drive on the 9-speed automatic gearbox. You don't need to worry about the parking brake. It releases automatically, but the switch is just down here anyway. And then we're off, and we've got, as I say, all the toys, from the inductive phone charger, this nice big screen that does your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It does your reversing camera as well. So, you know, okay, this is only a small van, but perhaps that encourages you to go to more out of the way places and into town centres and so on. And then that that reversing camera is absolutely essential. Visibility all round is good, the mirrors are good, and the thing I really like is this massive overcab sunroof. It just fills the whole cab area with daylight. The 140 engine as standard, well, it's lively enough. In fact, I was surprised. Okay, this is practically an empty van, but I was surprised just how perky the performance seemed. It was there was no wish to have more power out on the road. And of course, the beauty of this van is that it feels like a camper van, really, in terms of, you know, going down a narrow lane like this, which you wouldn't want to try in anything too big. Rattles, yeah, there are a few, but it's not too bad. Seat comfort, it's the usual Fiat driving position, of course. Limited adjustment on the steering column, but yeah, if you're happy driving a Fiat Ducato, this one will make you even happier, because, well, it's that much easier because it's smaller, and this particular one, as I say, has all the toys. So, final verdict time on the Rapido CO3. Nice short name for a nice short little van, and one that I could very easily live with. If you're okay with the concept of a transverse double bed, and therefore possibly climbing over your partner to get to the washroom in the night, well, this does it as well as any of them. I really like the lounge with that flip-up jump seat that makes a great footstool, and generally for a small lounge it's really comfy. Bedroom area works well, but that is my one reservation, that window at the head of the bed, where it would be so much better to have a headboard, and if only they could do away with that little shelf at the top so you've got no risk of banging your head. They've got most of it right. You can sit up in bed, so it just needs a tiny bit of fine tuning. Kitchen, well, that is a bit small, but you've got all the kit, and the washroom works really well for such a compact van. So, have Rapido got it right, adding just a little bit of length for the wardrobe and the fridge? Well, on the basis of my road test, I think, yeah, they have. And it's the typical Rapido quality of finish. It feels a very nice, premium little van. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this latest motorhome review. Plenty more camper van and motorhome reviews coming along soon.